Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of my Great Guitar Build Off 2022. So if you've been following the previous episodes, what you're seeing on screen represents quite a lot of progress. In fact, it's too much progress for one video really. So what I've decided to do is split the content into 2 videos that will come out in pretty quick succession. In order to make those videos make some sort of sense, I've decided to group the content of them. So in the next video you'll see the routing of the pickup cavities and then finishing off the main cavity here as well, and maybe a few other bits and pieces. I made a mess of this pickup route originally, but fortunately I've been able to save it, so all of that will be included in there. In this episode, what we're going to focus on is work on the neck. So I've shaped the headstock, and I've also done some work on sorting out the alignment of the neck to the body. And additionally, I have done some work on stain tests, which I talked about in the previous episode. And yeah, at the end of this episode, I'll show you that and talk about what I've decided to do finish wise on this guitar. So I think it's about time to do some work on this neck, and I think the first thing I'd like to do is to shape the headstock. I ended up having to cut it with the coping saw as well, as with the jigsaw I couldn't get anywhere near the lines, and even with like the Shinto rasp it would have taken forever to shape it to the line. In actual fact, the coping saw worked way better than I thought it would, and I only actually broke one blade in the whole time doing this. So the other thing I need to do with the neck is that I found it doesn't align with the body properly. So basically, if I project these lines down the body, the distance from the centre line, this side is 31mm-ish. It's probably a little bit less than that. And this side is about 28mm. So there's roughly a 3mm difference there. And what that means is that the neck needs to move relative that sort of way. So it needs to go round like that, which obviously means taking off a bit of material on this side here. And I've been advised to take it off the pocket. So that's what I'm going to try and do now. So I posted about this issue on the GGBO competitors forum, and there were lots of people who posted and suggested how I could fix this issue. This particular suggestion was from Dave Dickens, who said to use a little block with some sandpaper stuck to it like that. And I just kept going back and sanding a bit, checking it, sanding, so on and so forth, until I got it as close as I felt I could, really. So just a big thanks to everyone who posted there and suggested something. So after a little bit of sanding of the pocket there, I now have it, I think, as even as I'm going to get it, really. It's a little bit over 29mm either way, slightly out still, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to get it much better than that. And the good news is, the pocket's still really tight. I can lift up the guitar there. So what you're seeing on screen is one of the tests I did on this sample of alder. So it's trying to replicate what I would like the body to look like. Everything you see is based on Big D guitars and his tutorials on staining, which are by far and away the best I've seen. I'll put a link to the Big D Guitars channel in the description below, and also to the particular video that I'm referencing here. If I could give any tips based on what I've learned from these tests, it would be to really pay attention to the techniques that Big D uses. In particular, like you see here, where I'm staining from the inside out, pushing it out, and then going over it with a darker colour, and then I will in a bit wash over it with the lighter colour, and you'll see how it blends all of the colours really, really well. That's a really good technique there. The other suggestion I would have is to get the Crimson Stunning Stain shots. The real big advantage of using the shots is that you can mix your own colours. So if you want a slightly lighter brown, for example, you can tweak that to your heart's content. And it's just, yeah, I think it's a much better experience than using the pre-mixed bottles. Notice here that when I'm washing the colour, I'm going in a circular motion, and that really helps drag the colours and blend them better. Obviously, with these sample pieces being fairly small, it's quite difficult to blend so many colours in a proper burst. But I think that will be much easier on the actual body, where I've got more room. Even so, I think these samples look fantastic, and yeah, exactly what I wanted. And it's only going to be better on the actual body. apologies for the crappy camera angle here. What I'm actually using is, as per Big D Guitars' tip, I'm using some steel wool to just brush over the piece. This knocks off some of the colour, and then when you wash over it, everything just pops. Unfortunately, Crimson didn't have any of their high build oil in stock when I ordered the stains, but I had some of this penetrating oil left, so I've given all of the sample pieces a coat of that. So what you just saw was a video of me staining one of the alder pieces. I actually have 5 pieces of alder that I've played around with various different colours and techniques on. And I'm quickly going to show you those now. This is sample 1. Oh, and by the way, I think it's worthwhile seeing it in the context of the guitar there with the pick guard and the neck. So this is sample 1. This was the first one I did. The colours that I used weren't particularly great, and I got this weird sort of splodge here in the middle, which doesn't look good. Yeah, that's sample 1. Sample 2 was this, where essentially the brown is not visible at all. So one of the things I struggled with these samples is trying to get 3 colours on there because they're so small. So that's number 2. This is number 3. This is the one you saw in the video earlier. All of these samples have had 1 coat of the Crimson penetrating guitar finishing oil and 1 coat of this Alfie Shine hard wax polishing stuff, this here, just because I had some of it, so why not try it. This is my favourite one of the alder samples and most likely what I'll go with. Number 4 here, it's a bit similar to 2 actually, really, a little bit darker around the edges, and the colours I've used are better mixes. So I was using the Stunning Stains shots and logging the colours I was using, you know, the ratio of water to stain, and I was also mixing the various colours. So I have, we'll grab them, we've got black, I'm not going to put it on the body just in case, amber, cherry red, and brown. And like I say, all of these colours were, the amber was a pure amber, the red was pure red as well, but the brown was actually a mix of amber, red and brown. This here is the 5th sample and the least favourite. For this one I did a brown undercoat and then sanded that back and went over it with amber and red. But yeah, I don't like the result, so that one's cast aside. Right, so moving on, let's go with the pickguard material. So this is the more figured material. I've completely discarded the other material, it just looks terrible. So this one here is natural, just the oil and the wax, and that is probably my favourite of the bunch. This is sample 2. This was an early amber colour. I didn't like the amber colour itself, but yeah, I don't particularly like the look. This one here, number 3, that was a brown undercoat, sanded back, and then amber over the top. This one here was a black undercoat, sanded back with amber over the top. This one here was a dark brown. I was thinking the dark colour might offset quite nicely against the body material. So if you looked at that sort of thing. And I wondered how it might look against the neck, which is relatively dark. But I think this particular colour is too dark. So I then made sample 6, which is this one here. And that was a lighter mix brown. So it was, I think it was something like 4 shots of brown, 2 of amber and 1 of red with 70 or 80 water, something along those lines. So I think this here is my preferred mix. So we have the natural for the pickguard with just the oil. We'll have the burst on the alder, and this is an offcut of the headstock with just a single coat of the crimson oil again.